What's going on, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio, Part 6, Training Camp Preview, talking defensive line. Hope you guys are doing well, staying safe in this crazy heat. This is going to be an interesting video because I could easily cop out and go the PFF route, number one rated defensive line in all of football. But I do have some legitimate concerns about this group. You got a lot of new pieces, a lot of moving parts, and one player that's still not here yet, which is a major concern. I know this whole Reddick situation could be over and done with in a couple days. He might be there day one of training camp, maybe new contract, maybe without a new contract. But the whole situation could be done in a few days, and it could be a non-story, and I hope that's where we're at. But for right now, the whole situation drives me nuts. And starting with the player first, and then obviously getting to how we got here, the fact that it seems like he went back on his word. I don't often believe everything that comes out of Florham Park, but I find it very hard to believe that Joe Douglas would make a trade for a player that's 30 years old, that's on the last year of his contract, without some kind of assurance that he would be okay playing out the last year of his deal without any kind of long-term security. And we knew he was upset about his contract with the Eagles. So if you're going to give up significant draft compensation to get this player, you better be damn sure he's happy being here. And so I don't doubt that there was some kind of verbal or handshake agreement with Reddick prior to the trade being made. But now the fact that he's gone back on his word is just a terrible look. The fact that whatever it was, him seeing an opportunity for leverage and saying, no, other guys are getting paid, I got to look out for me. Whatever changed his mind, I don't know. and maybe this was his plan all along, I don't know. But either way, it's a terrible look, and it doesn't make the Jets look good either because you had somebody in-house that should have been signed 2 years ago. Last year, I don't think they could have gotten a deal done with Huff. I think at that point his mind was made up. He wanted to test free agency, see what his value was, and just get an opportunity to reach his potential. But the year prior to that, I think that's the window that the Jets missed their opportunity to get him probably under a reasonable contract. And for whatever reason, they didn't do it. Then you end up kind of panicking. You get the 1 year rental in Reddick. Now he's not happy. Now he wants the extension. I don't think the Jets can give him the extension when you've got your core six of draft picks to worry about, if you include Michael Carter and AVT, plus other guys on the last year of their contract, Conklin, DJ Reed. I don't know how you can pay a player like Reddick, who's on the last year of his contract, when you have all your young guys to worry about taking care of. I don't know how you could do that. Plus, like I said, 30 years old, how many more great years are you going to get out of him? I can't see the Jets giving 3-4 years at $20 million plus to Reddick. It doesn't make sense. So the whole situation with how we got here, which also includes JFM, you wonder if part of the reason for not giving Huff that contract goes back to JFM, because when he got released from the Rams after his first year, he signed with the Jets, played a full season, and then into his second year, I think it was October, he signs a $55 million extension when he had only put up like 3 or 4 sacks in a Jets uniform. So you can look at that and say maybe Joe Douglas got a little bit nervous or got a little hesitant about giving Huff the contract after he gave it to JFM, and it didn't really work out. And JFM was a good player. I got nothing against JFM. I think he's very underrated. I think he takes some shit from a lot of fans, for some penalties and things here and there. But he's been a solid, versatile piece on this defensive line, and I think the Jets are really going to struggle to replace him. I like Kinlaw to a degree. I'd like him more if we weren't expecting so much out of him this year, kind of filling that JFM role, although you do have multiple guys that could do it. You brought in Lecky Fodu, who's I think going to be more of like your Al Woods type, who only played 6 games last year. You also lost Quentin Jefferson, which is a problem. You brought back Solomon Thomas and Michael Clemens. Both those guys might have to take on a larger role this year. But I think the spotlight really goes to Will McDonald, because this was a pick that nobody wanted to make. I think we all had our sights set on offensive line or wide receiver. They end up taking McDonald, and that could be another reason why they were forced to let Bryce Huff go. The hope that Will McDonald could ultimately fill those shoes. And that's another reason why you can't sign Reddick. And why I also kind of justified it at the time. It's like, all right, Reddick's a 1 year rental. You get a full year to look at McDonald. If he shows you that he could be what Jermaine Johnson was in year 2, then this is the guy that you want going forward. You let Reddick walk, and it's a nice, easy transition. And then if Jermaine Johnson continues on his trajectory, that's ultimately his contract instead of going to Reddick. So you kind of could understand it when it was happening. But now that the player's not here, he's not happy, greater spotlight on Will McDonald to step up and be ready to go day one. I just don't know how it's all going to work, because we've been spoiled in years past having two units of defensive lines that could get after the quarterback, that were essentially starters. You would be bringing in guys on your second unit like Huff. Jermaine Johnson's rookie year, he was pretty much all on the second unit. Solomon Thomas, he's been great. Quentin Jefferson last year was great. You'd be bringing in all these guys on third downs or when you needed to give your starters a rest, and you felt like you never missed a beat. And that's what I worry about a little bit this year. I just don't know what the Jets are going to get out of that second unit. I do still like Solomon Thomas. I think he's gotten better every year. I think Kinlaw he showed that he's got the ability, just the numbers haven't been there yet. So I'd like to see a little bit more out of him. I know he's had some struggles against the run. He's done some good things as a pass rusher. Obviously, Will McDonald, we know he's got speed. He's got athleticism. Can he fill in as that third down guy? I think a lot of his success is predicated on how Saleh's going to use him. If you use him primarily on third downs, obvious pass rushing situations, put him in a position to succeed where he could just pin his ears back and go. I think that'll definitely help. And then as far as the way back end, if you're going to keep 9 or 10 defensive linemen, certainly you could look at Takk McKinley, former first-round pick of the Falcons, who they brought in. Jalen Holmes, he had a really impressive training camp and a couple nice plays in preseason last year. And then on the inside, Tanzel Smart, he was the Hard Knocks media darling. A shame that he didn't make it last year. He certainly earned it. Could be an opportunity for him this year. And then also Leonard Taylor, undrafted free agent out of Miami. He was supposed to be a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. He ended up sliding, undrafted. So the Jets definitely have some depth and some guys. It's just relatively unproven. Guys that need to show it. Guys that need to show it in a Jets uniform. And the Reddick situation, again, it could be over and done with in a week. Who knows? But I have a feeling this is going to kind of play out throughout the year. You wonder about the player also. If he gets nicked up, if he's injured a little bit, without the long-term security, does he really push it? I remember all those articles about him chasing sacks. Does he get out of the defense and not stay in his gap, trying to go after sacks? Like a lot of things you worry about. Otherwise, I like the talent here. So we'll see what happens. Talk to you guys later.